What if the future of humanity doesn't depend on finding a new planet, but building one from scratch? It sounds impossible. Planets take millions of years to form naturally. Yet one day, humanity might decide that Earth is no longer enough. Not because the planet disappears, not because we're forced to leave, but because we simply outgrow it. And that raises a disturbing question. If we can build cities, countries, and even space stations, could we eventually build an entire world? At first, the idea seems absurd. After all, Earth wasn't engineered. It was created by cosmic chaos. Tiny grains of dust collided over millions of years, slowly becoming rocks, mountains, and eventually a planet capable of supporting life. But here's the strange part. Scientists already understand how planets form, which means, in theory, we know the recipe. The real challenge is gathering the ingredients. To create an artificial Earth, we'd need breathable air, stable temperatures, Earth-like gravity, oceans, and a perfectly balanced orbit around the sun. Miss just one of those requirements, and the entire project fails. So where would all that material come from? Most people would say asteroids. But that's not even close to enough. Earth contains more mass than thousands of asteroid belts combined. Even if we harvested every asteroid in the solar system, we still wouldn't have enough material. And that's when things get weird. The answer may be hiding in the most distant region of our solar system, a mysterious realm known as the Oort cloud, a gigantic swarm of icy objects stretching trillions of kilometers into space. The problem? We've never even reached it. And what humanity would need to do next changes everything. The Oort cloud could contain unimaginable amounts of raw material, enough to help build an entirely new world. But there's a catch. Voyager 1, one of the fastest spacecraft ever launched, has been racing through space for decades. Yet it still wouldn't reach the Oort cloud for centuries. And crossing it completely could take tens of thousands of years. So before we can build a planet, we need to reinvent space travel itself. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Instead of searching the distant edges of the solar system, humanity might start stealing pieces from worlds much closer to home. Imagine dismantling moons. Gigantic natural satellites ripped from their planets and transported across space. Jupiter alone has dozens of moons. Combined, they could provide enough material to begin constructing a brand new world. Sounds unbelievable, but that's not even the craziest part. Our artificial planet wouldn't actually need to be as massive as Earth. Gravity depends on more than size. If engineers could compress enough mass into a smaller volume, a planet much smaller than Earth could still feel surprisingly familiar. Suddenly, the impossible starts looking achievable. Slowly, century after century, massive amounts of rock and ice would be assembled into a growing sphere orbiting the sun. A world built entirely by human hands. But a planet made of rock isn't a home. Not yet. Because the next challenge isn't construction. It's creating life. And what happens next forces humanity to play a role nature usually reserves for the universe itself. Once the artificial planet was complete, the real experiment would begin. First, water. Vast oceans would be poured onto the barren surface. Then sunlight would slowly evaporate that water, helping form an atmosphere. Carbon dioxide could be added. Clouds would appear. Rain would fall. For the first time, a completely artificial world would begin behaving like a real planet. But here's the strange part. Humans still couldn't live there. Not yet. The atmosphere would contain almost no oxygen, which means the next settlers wouldn't be people. They'd be plants. For centuries, maybe even millennia, forests, algae, and microscopic organisms would quietly transform the air through photosynthesis. Oxygen levels would rise. Ecosystems would emerge. Life would spread across a world that never naturally existed. And then, after thousands of years of planning, engineering, and waiting, the first human colony would finally arrive. Imagine standing on a planet built by your own species. A second Earth. A world that exists only because humanity decided to create it. But that's where the biggest twist appears. Unlike Earth, this planet wouldn't be self-sustaining. Every atmosphere adjustment, every orbital correction, every environmental system would require constant maintenance. Stop maintaining it, and the planet could slowly become uninhabitable, which raises a chilling possibility. Maybe building a new planet isn't humanity's greatest challenge. Maybe keeping it alive is. And if creating an artificial Earth requires endless intervention, Was it ever truly a planet in the first place? Or just the largest machine humanity ever built? And if we eventually gain the power to create worlds, how many are already out there, created by someone else?